What time it be? I can't hear it. I can't hear it.
I can't.
Let me know when.
You're good.
Good evening. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2023. It's 5:30 p.m. First up on the agenda, Mr. McCain is not here today, and Mayor Graham's going to stand in and do a city update.
Thank you,
Mayor?
Chair. Thank you, Chair Gomez. We received some numbers back from our Team Up to Cleanup event that we held on Saturday, May 31st. We filled 82 dumpsters, 130 tons of trash, 252 CNC disposal vouchers were given away, and 1,900 Puebloans were served between the three locations. That was pretty successful cleanup for the city. City pool updates. Mitchell Park Pool is closed currently due to an issue with the temperature regulator valve. Maintenance crews are working on it today. The City Park Pool is down to an issue with the boiler. Excel Gas was working on it Friday and it's still not working properly. They continue to work on it today and it will reopen soon. We have some street repair work going on. Street crews are currently patching holes on West 29th Street. Streets completed for an emergency pothole repair work on Union Avenue. Near C Street was completed. I'm sure several of you saw that Union was closed halfway down the block. And then we're doing a very large street repair that you'll see on the agenda tonight for an emergency ordinance of a street that's collapsed, pretty much collapsed on Elizabeth. The slabs are open. The court murals and line work on the slab courts have been completed. This morning, Parks crews finished installing the rims and took down the fencing. We are excited to announce the ribbon cutting and grand opening soon. Season for the summer basketball at the slab starts June 17th and goes through July 30th for participants in middle and high school. Registration ends tomorrow. The fee is $30 per player. And you can find additional information online or at 719-553-2790. And our update for our police department with our manpower issues, we have 46 vacancies, 21 in training, 6 in our mentorship program, which will be eligible for the class of 76 in July. And 2 more hopefully coming in July. This will put us at 9 in our July Academy, which will be one of the largest academies that we've ran in 4 years. We also have 9 officers in the PTO program. We have 20 injured officers with a grand total working manpower of 143 officers when the city of Pueblo is allocated 231. So down almost 100 officers right now in the city of Pueblo. And happy to take any questions or directions from city council.
Council, any comments, questions?
I have one. Mayor, so I've gotten calls from constituents they're all afraid of fireworks this year because it just such is a big thing. And we know that there are laws, right? I was wondering if maybe we could run some sort of little media thing, maybe on your mixtape, maybe on the page, stating what the statutes are, what the,
We could do
what
that.
the laws
Sure.
are, maybe a little speech asking, from you and the chief asking to tone it down a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, because
We could
there's
start
just,
that tomorrow, Counselor.
yeah, I think that's something that they've been warned
Right.
too, because it is, a lot of it is illegal and it's a huge disturbance.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Okay.
We'll start that tomorrow.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I'd like just to make one point. I'm concerned about July 4th as well because some of the things I'm reading, I hope it's not true. They're using quarter sticks of dynamite, some of the stuff.
Mhm.
I remember back in the old days, a good old cherry bomb might get your mailbox, but now you're talking about taking out a house. And it just recently happened in my neck of the woods where I know it had to be dynamite. So just as a heads up, okay? All right. Next up, we've got item agenda B, Pueblo Human Relations Commission. We've got Claire Shad, I guess it's Shad, Chair. Then we've got Dawn Tripp. And then we've got a 15-minute presentation and try to be prompt if you can.
There we go. Good evening, and thank you for seeing us this evening. My name is Claire Shad. I'm the chair of the Public Human Relations Commission. I've been chair since January 2025 of this year, and this is my colleague and fellow commissioner, Dawn Tripp Sinha. So we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Or if I get a clicker, ooh. Thank you. So today not only serves to reintroduce us as a commission to the city, as there's an ordinance later on that'll be speaking to kind of the reformation or reallocation of our commission directly to the city here, but also just to kind of talk about what our goals are, what we're looking forward to be doing with the rest of our year, as well as talking about kind of where we came from. So for those new commissioners that are newest council members, or men and women, excuse me, are being reintroduced to us, that we can give you all the information that you need to know who we are. So just to reiterate, our purpose is to serve as an instrumentality through the city and county of Pueblo to bring about mutual understanding and respect for all persons of marginalized groups, including but not limited to age, race, creed, color, disability, gender, sexual orientation, or national origin throughout Pueblo County, and help give effect equal rights for all persons as assured by the federal and state constitutions and laws. This is quite a lengthy purpose statement. I'm going to break down exactly what this looks like in action here briefly in a moment. But currently, this is where we are sitting as a commission. You can see that I am the chair. My colleague Benji Caldera is our vice chair. We have 3 commissioners, including a youth appointee, and we have more commissioners in the hopper that are waiting to be approved to join us. So we're very excited to be having more folks join us and more diverse voices included in our commission. To give a brief history of who we are as a commission, we were originally created in 2001 through an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Pueblo and Pueblo County to address advocacy for marginalized groups, encourage accountability for law enforcement as they're engaging with some of our marginalized folks throughout the community, and encouraging dialogue between the city, county, and the greater Pueblo community to help push forward these efforts. Later on in the 2020s, of course, during the height of the pandemic, there were efforts were reallocated to be able to offer support to other groups through an endowment fund, support of community events, sponsorships. We also developed a Human Relations Proclamation Day, which we just recently re-upped in the last year with City Council. And we also provide yearly reports previously to the Board of County Commissioners and other government entities to promote community issues regarding marginalized community members. Now, we are reallocating our efforts to what I call more boots on the ground advocacy, doing a lot more face-to-face engagement with our community. So we did remove the endowment fund and we're focusing on fundraising, grant efforts, increased participation in local events, trying to group together to create different elements of community engagement as it relates to current events. And we did create a new position to help support us for day-to-day activities. So some of the highlights of some of the events that and some of the initiatives that we've been focusing on since September 2023 include our fundraiser breakfast that also highlighted the Cradle to Prison pipeline. We kind of became Y2K compliant, kind of pushing forward with creating our website, launching it to be more accessible as well. We also worked with District 60 to identify a discrimination case that was happening to a young lady who was receiving horrible discrimination within the District 60. We also did our Word Work initiative, which aimed to depolarize political understandings of media and help individuals make informed decisions. Then, of course, recently part of the Human Relations Day proclamation, and we are at a bunch of community events as seen on this next slide. Here are kind of the primary entities that we have partnered with or supported throughout the last year. So just to go over, since last time we spoke, we had 4 pillars of a sense as to what we were focusing on, and everything that's bolded and underlined it is what we have accomplished, which is a great deal of really positive community engagement efforts, including doing a community breakfast, working towards getting more grant and fundraising opportunities, really embedding ourselves in advocacy and activism throughout our community, again, as issues arise, being there to be the voice, being there to be that face to help support our community members. We've also increased our presence on social media and things of that nature, and we have the position of office coordinator and executive director at the time is what it was called. Looking forward, though, to 2025 and 2026, a lot of our primary pillars remain the same. However, there's a lot more detail and focus, again, as to more direct engagement with the community. Again, since the removal of the endowment fund and reallocating our funds to be using taxpayer dollars to support direct efforts with our community, we're increasing our sustainability through seeking grants. We're trying to strategize with local organizations to identify needs and areas of support that we can offer. We're also planning on doing, continue to do our yearly fundraising event and integrating local community members to highlight the diversity that we are so proud of here in our community. Additionally, for our education, we are really focusing on this idea of leading by example, practicing what we preach. I know that there is a running joke with the Human Relations Commission of us not being able to relate to one another. We want to change that, and we really want to reform ourselves through collaboration and through highlighting our youth involvement with our organization. In fact, our youth appointee has a lot of really great ideas for workforce readiness for our community, for our young minds as they're entering the workforce, whether that be directly through trade school or through college education. Additionally, we're focusing more outreach on not just staying in one place, but shifting between library sites. We actually already partner with the Pueblo County Library District to do our monthly meetings, but really leveraging that relationship to reach all parts of Pueblo and Pueblo County and being able to hear the voices of what is going on with our community. Additionally, we want to hold quarterly boots on the ground events where we evaluate the needs of the community and support efforts through manpower and supplies, continue our monthly business meetings of course, and continue to develop our relationships with city, county commissions, and boards. Additionally, an idea that was brought to us is that we want to do a What Do You Wish town hall where we can bring an equal playing field between community members to city and county representatives, so people feel that they can approach these entities without any anxiety or fear of being misrepresented or not heard. And finally, we've been doing a comprehensive overview of our bylaws, and thank you to Attorney Harley Gifford for supporting us with that. And we're going to be building more policy around roles within the commission and other logistical processes. So with that, keeping it timely, I do have some questions for consideration, but also am just here to help answer any questions that I can.
Councilman Flores.
Want to get both of your opinions on, what is happening in Pueblo. As you know, nationally, there seems to be overzealous reactions, especially to Black and brown people with this immigration issue that we're dealing with. And it seems as though, we're part of the bigger picture, obviously. But what are you seeing in Pueblo? I know I've had a discussion with Sister Nancy. I've had a discussion with several immigration lawyers in town, and they're not really happy about what's going on. And obviously you can't be everywhere, but from your vantage point, how are you determining, how are you analyzing, and how are you coping, I guess, with this new phenomenon that seems to be breaking our country in half?
I think I can speak to that to start off with. I mean, I'm also a social worker and a music therapist, so I'm seeing these clients directly, seeing the fear within our families here in Pueblo, seeing the fear of not wanting to open the door quite literally to anyone. And so I think in that respect, just from a personal vantage point, I think that is a genuine concern. I think for the Human Relations Commission, really expanding our capacity and bandwidth to a reasonable effort, but also to a way that's more accessible is really the key to this. Helping, truly we were meant to be as this kind of not a liaison, not like a deciding factor, of course, like we can't speak on behalf of city council per se, but bringing these issues directly to you so you know exactly what is being said and being kind of that conduit, because people are even afraid to come to these spaces to speak on behalf because of the visibility that creates and the recording of the meetings and things like that. So I think that there's some really beautiful ways that we could collaborate to make sure that we are getting those direct first person accounts of what's going on to know how to better support our community.
Listen, I agree with Claire in regards to collaborating and the fear that's out there. I know that the migrants are, I'm going to say, people on Facebook are posting a lot like ICE is here, ICE is there. Not real sure if it's happening, but there's the fear behind that. I think our goal is to be that advocate for those that do have fear, but those that are able to come forward and speak to us for some of the fears and some of the things that are happening to them. So, I agree. I think it's, it makes me sick.
Yeah, there's individuals that have work visas, and even those individuals are afraid to, that they
Right.
just don't know whether or not their work visas are worth anything. And so you're living under this cloud of fear, which is pretty disgusting that we're doing this, especially when a lot of these people are lured to the United States for jobs. And the people that employ them, certainly are making a profit off of their labor because, they're not being treated correctly. They're probably not being paid correctly. And so there's the criminalization of just coming to the United States and being called illegal. Obviously nobody has any sympathy for people that are going to commit crimes, but for the exaggeration on a national level, they cause less problems than any other group in the United States. But the exaggeration and the embellishment of how bad these people are should make us really stop and pause and say, what the hell is going on? And it's pretty disgusting what's going on in Los Angeles right now. And it just seems that maybe your organization should, at least at a very minimum, maybe provide information about their rights. And because I think they get lost in that maze. Our system's pretty complicated. And I think there's several attorneys in town that could probably walk you through that and have you. I know that Sister Nancy has documentation, both in English and Spanish, that outline what their rights are, what due process means in the United States. And I think you could be very valuable in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking you to go out and be protesting or advocating. I'm just talking about giving people the correct information. But thank you for what you do. I think your organization is getting more important as each day goes by. So I appreciate the work that you do.
I agree.
Thank you.
Council Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thanks for that presentation. I'm curious, Mashad, if you can talk a little bit about the recent resolution with the county and how that's going to impact the commission and you guys moving forward.
Yes, so the recent resolution was to dissolve the intergovernmental agreement, and we have been talking a lot about what that means. It means a lot of different things. I think that what it does is in the county's eyes, and again, I can't speak on behalf, my understanding is that they wanted to allow us a little bit more independence and autonomy when it comes to decision-making processes within hierarchies, as well as they felt that at this juncture that the intergovernmental agreement was not of the county's current mission or current, current county commissioners' missions. However, I think that what that means for us is that we really, that collaborative relationship that we really enjoyed and really wanted to have, especially as we're talking about this particular issue that Councilman Flores brought up, we lose that relationship, which is, I think, integral to our rural Pueblo County residents. We also will be losing, of course, like different potential funding opportunities and things of that nature. However, we still really want to work with the county and the greater Pueblo community and supporting all aspects of Pueblo. And so we're looking forward to being able to reignite kind of our presence here in the community as well through this this presentation and moving forward. And so we will absolutely continue to be working with the county, at least in a distance capacity, if not more so hopefully in the future as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was really disappointed to see that the Board of County Commissioners dissolved the IGA with you all, particularly considering the landscape right now of how important human rights advocacy and education work is. And I really want to thank Mayor Graham for her support in just making sure that the city not only would not, I guess that the city would continue the relationship with the Human Relations Commission. So thank you, Mayor Graham, for ensuring that this commission is not gonna, just be dissolved or, fully independent. It was really disappointing.
Yeah. And I want to say, I want to thank the mayor also for her support when we started having problems. I know, Claire, we have a little bit of different opinion about what happened. I'm really happy that the city has decided to take it on. They were the support that we needed. And I didn't feel like we were really supported by the county when we were actually having issues. So I want to thank the mayor. Thank you for her support and being willing to meet with us and work with us. And Hartley.
Well, I'm glad that we still have you as partners, and I continue to look forward, to the many great things that you'll accomplish by the end of the year. Thank you.
Councilman Latino.
Thank you. I just want to thank you both for coming. Claire, Don, thank you. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Tell Jesse I said hi.
Okay, anything else from council? Any other comments? Claire, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Don, thank you. Next up, we have the Chavez Huerta K through 12 Academy. Fred Segura, Executive Director, 15-minute presentation.
Have some folders for the council.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Fred Segura, and I serve as the Executive Director of Chavez Huerta K through 12 Preparatory Academy, an institution that has proudly served Pueblo West Side community for over 25 years. We are a Hispanic serving institution and a beacon of educational opportunity for over 800 students. I'm here today to share our current situation and ask for your support in preserving a vital educational option for our city. In January 2025, we were informed by Pueblo City School District 60 that they would not be renewing our charter. The decision was based on two main points: a material breach of contract, specifically Section 7.12, which relates to the financial transparency and timely reporting, and then also our failure to meet generally accepted standards of fiscal management. These concerns stem from issues over the past 3 years, including delays and inaccuracies in financial reporting. I want to be transparent. These issues did exist. They were largely the result of the departure of key staff with institutional financial knowledge, past leadership decisions that aimed to downsize the school even to the point of closure. But over the past year, we've worked diligently to correct these problems. With the leadership of our board president, Stephen Trujillo, and the support of our Abacus financial team, we've implemented strong corrective measures. These include internal controls and regular audits that are now in place. The executive director, myself, now personally approves all purchase orders, accounts payable, and departmental expenses. We prioritize spending to support classrooms, staff salaries, and student services. In addition, we maintain healthy reserves and adjust budgets proactively. As a result, our financial reports are now timely and accurate. We are projected to finish the year with a $400,000 surplus and a 1.10 debt ratio, a strong indicator of financial health. But this just isn't about numbers. Our academic performance is improving. Recent NWEA scores, which are nationally normed, show significant growth in reading and math. We appealed the non-renewal to the state, but the state voted 7-1 to uphold District 60's decision. We then sent a letter to District 60 requesting either reconsideration or release from their exclusive chartering authority. We received no response, only a meeting to begin dissolving the school. This decision affects more than just our staff. It affects the over 800 students and their families. Many of them chose CHPA because they wanted something different, something better. Today, I have with me Tommy Lynn Cruz, a student from Dolores Huerta Preparatory High, and she's here to speak not just about finances, but about the educational opportunities CHPA has provided her.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tommy Lynn Cruz. I'd like to start off with thanking you for giving me the opportunity to speak for my community and fellow classmates. Being able to have the opportunity to be a Toro and to also be a Scorpion has been a blast. Although we are a small school and we're looked at as different, it's a good different. We do not just receive an early college program, we receive one-on-one help from teachers, administrators, and counselors. We grow as a family, from fighting who is going to be the line leader to whose car we will take for the day. Students spend about 30 to 35 hours a week at school. We get it, most students haven't been at CHPA all their lives, but majority of our students have. Put yourself in our shoes. Try going from somewhere so small to the point it feels like you know everyone who attends, to then being forced to go to a huge public school. It's not only frightening, but it hurts our heart that we have to leave our home. We understand that D60 is open with big arms, but if we wanted to, we would. My junior year at DH, I started in the Pathways to Teaching program through CU Denver. The reason why I chose to take this class is this exact reason. It's 2025 and education is very important. We need to stop looking at our children as dollar signs and more as our future. I like to graduate with my professional certificate and come back one day and help my lower classmates at CHPA. Centennial, East, South, and Central do not offer this program, and I have put my heart and soul into all my assignments, which is now down the drain. Most students at our high school have put their hard work into this school, from relationships, assignments, and most of all, college classes. I'd love to graduate next year as a Scorpion. Please give me the opportunity. Thank you again, class of 2026.
Thank you. Councilman Latino.
He's not finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My
Let's talk
mistake.
about what's at stake.
I
And
can't
thank
see
you,
and I
Tommy.
can't hear either.
Appreciate that. We've recently built 2 new schools, Cesar Chavez Academy, Ercilia Cruz Middle School, and a renovation to DHPH. We hold $35 million in bonds and received a $30 million grant that directly benefit the community. Our early college program has invested over $2 million in the past decade to provide college and career education to our students. We are the only recognized early college program in Southern Colorado by the Colorado Department of Education, a distinction that took 20 years to build. Healthcare for the West Side community through the Public Community Health Center. If the school closes, it could directly jeopardize the Boys and Girls Club 21st Century Health Grant, as the grant follows students to specific locations. And then finally, community accessibility to Pueblo West and the extension of 18th Street to Pueblo Boulevard. The west side of Pueblo is growing. And we've seen the addition of a fire station, prison, new housing developments, and more. CHPA led this growth. Our student body reflects the entire city. 34% from the west side, 22% from the east side, and 13% from the Bessemer area. This is not just a West Side issue. It's a citywide issue. District 60 claims they can replicate our programs, but they have not initiated discussions about continuing the Pathways to Teaching program, which currently serves 10 juniors, including Tommy Lynn, nor have they demonstrated the infrastructure to replace what we've built. In April, the District 60 board voted 3-2 against releasing us from their exclusive chartering authority without providing any rationale. We understand if District 60 no longer wishes to authorize us, but we ask, allow another organization to do so. Let us to continue to serve the families who have chosen CHPA for a reason. City council members, we are not just asking for help. We are asking for immediate advocacy. We hope you will urge District 60 to reconsider their decision or release us from exclusive charting authority. Let's not dismantle a school that has served the community for 25 years, that is financially sound, academically improving, and deep-rooted in Pueblo's future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Aquino.
Yes, I want to thank you for your presentation. I'm going to say this to you, and I'm being very candid about it. Charter education started in Jefferson County, okay? With the Denison Fundamental School, and they now have a high school called the Evelyn. I'm a former educator, having served at all levels, all the way up to superintendency, okay? Area superintendent. I go back with the Hernandez family when they started the charter school system here in Pueblo. And it was a disaster, to be honest with you. When I had a coach who gave up a job in Denver, when I was a general manager to run a sports complex, come to me and say, Miss Latino, they won't give us any money to play baseball in the summertime. Okay. When the athletic director happened to be was a father-in-law or father of somebody, and we're talking about now, but not then, but that's where it is, and that's what the history that they have. I'm not going to support this, and I don't think this is a responsibility of the city council. You come under the auspices of School District 60 and the Board of Education. I think that's where it needs to go, and I think that's where it needs to stay. Young people mean the world to me. And it breaks my heart because adults, children are victims of adults' actions and reactions. And young lady, I apologize, and you've done a great job in your presentation this evening. I want to compliment you for that and commend you. You did a really fine job. But I'm not going it's not the city council's responsibility. It's the School District 60 or Pueblo City School District's responsibility to deal with this. And again, I can get into the history as it relates to the family that founded this school and what a disaster they were and what they did in terms of funds and what they and how they handled and mishandled funds. But thank you. I think the city council needs to back away from this. I think it's the responsibility of the Pueblo City Schools. Thank you for your presentation.
Before we jump over to Mr. Forrest, Mr. Segura, how long have you been the executive director?
This is my first year as the executive director.
Okay, and now we'll pass it on to Councilman. I'm trying to go slow, Dennis. Flores.
There's no question that we don't have any authority. There's no question that we don't have any authority as a city council, but we certainly can, understand your problem. We can be advocates for you. Nothing says that we have that authority, but this is really personal to me. I was president of the school board when that charter was granted. So it's been a charter that's been in existence for close to 25 years. And when I look at this process that you guys went through, and I got deeply involved in it because I took it personally. I am convinced that people don't understand growing up on the West Side, which I did, how we were neglected by District 60. When I tell people that I attended 6 different schools after my dad came back from World War II, every year I was at a different school. It was like they were taking turns with the kids on the West Side. So there's a deep-rooted culture in that area being neglected. And that's how this school kind of came into being. So I really take it personally. And I've been here my whole life, except, during my tour in the military. So I can tell you firsthand, I grew up there from the time I was 4 until I was 14. And I saw this culture of being an isolated area with just all kinds of, issues. But here's something that just blew my mind. I wanted to understand from District 60 why they made this decision. And I called every board member, which took me, by the way, 4 days because they don't put their phone numbers on their website. So it took me about 4 days to get everybody. And then when I called, they wouldn't give me their numbers. They had to be routed to call me. And I think that's really poor way to run a school board. The only gentleman that had his phone number was Dennis Mays. So I finally got to talk. I talked to Dennis and I talked to Bill Thibault, and they're the two votes that said you could be given an extension of going before the Charter State Institute. The other three board members, Kathy De Niro did call me, and we had a very in-depth conversation. Sue Panunzio, who is our representative, I'm a taxpayer in this community, would not meet with me. Why? I don't know. I set up a coffee with Mr. Brian Cisneros. He agreed to meet with me, and then he canceled on me and made an excuse why he couldn't meet with me. And I am very, very upset about that. What kind of board members would not want to deal with their constituent and taxpayers in this community? So I just want to set the groundwork there, because there's so much more to this story. I got to go to the hearing, and if you read about this board, it's called the Colorado School Board for the state of Colorado. You talk about a partisan board. Look in the Denver Post. They had a big battle just to name a president to their board. And for them to be involved in this issue, and they didn't do anything other than affirm the 3-2 vote. But I got to tell you, when you look at the backgrounds of two of our board members, they're being highly influenced by leaders that are telling them that their goal is to destroy public education. I didn't say that. Get on the internet and take it directly from them. And this is what this is. It's a travesty to destroy this school. Another insensitivity is the fact that there's $35 million bonds on the last building that you have. They are willing to see that building boarded up, and the hell with the bondholders. $35 million in bonds, of which you were all current. I mean, there was never any question that you were not paying your bond premiums. And now we have a situation where the hell with the bondholders, we're going to foreclose on those buildings and shut the place up. And, when you stop to think about the discrepancy in your accounting, I got to review all of your financial statements, and there was 8 discrepancies, but like any company, even the city of Pueblo, if you have a discrepancy, you're able to correct it. And you guys did, and you got a full clean bill of health from your accounting service, and that you were a going concern. And there was no question about that, but there was no time there was no opportunity to be able to explain that. Secondly, you work off a fiscal year of June 31st or June 30th. At the very least, this school board should have allowed you to at least present your last obligated fully financial audit, which probably takes 4 or 5 months, so that by November, they would have a true meaning of what your financial condition was. They're not giving you that opportunity. They're saying you have to close your doors on July 1.
Correct.
And it's a travesty as far as I'm concerned. And there's so much more to this story. I've got my notes here. I had to write some stuff down. But anyway, the method in which they did that, I finally got a call from the superintendent. One of the questions I asked her was, have you ever been to the school? And she said, no, I've never been invited. Imagine, she's got the power to close you down, and she would not go to your school unless invited. Tell me what's wrong with that state? And I think it's pretty obvious too, that any of the, whether or not 2 or 3 of the other board members had never been to your school. Am I correct?
That is correct, and that is untrue, because we did have a groundbreaking ceremony when we opened up the new building, and we did invite all of District 60's board and the superintendent to come and join us for that. We did have a couple of members of the board come down and go through the school and tour the school. We've also done some groundbreaking for an energy farm that we have over there, solar energy farm. And we did a groundbreaking for that also. We invited the superintendent and the board members to come on down for that. And again, they were refused. So that's a false statement. We have invited the superintendent many times to come to our school, and she never took advantage of it.
But the truth is they've never been there.
That is
The
true.
superintendent's never been to your school.
The superintendent has not.
Yeah. The other thing is the appearance, okay? I often say, look who's calling the kettle black here. We know that District 60 has their own financial problems, especially when it comes to, and this is public record in the newspaper. They're going to have to consolidate schools. They're going to have to close schools. And the question is, the appearance is, what happens to your students? The money follows the students. If the students go back to District 60, they solve part of their financial problem. Now you've got an interjection of about $10 million. So even if it isn't true, that's why they did it. The appearance of this itself is just monumental to me. And this is very simple, okay? The only avenue that you guys have is to change a vote on the school board. At this point, you guys are going to have to close the doors on this beautiful campus that you've been working on for so long. And it is, really a shame that could occur. The question to me is, what could we do as a city council other than to, you have my backing 100%, because I think this whole process was flawed. I think that's one of the reasons why District 60 loses 2,000 students, is there's 2 charters, and there's also District 70, and then all the other private schools in Colorado Springs that get our students. So, we have we have a lot to think about here. And if you have anything, I can't speak on behalf of the council, but I can speak for myself. If there's anything that I can do, you let me know. I'll try anything, because
I'm going to jump out of the ceremony.
I think Councilor Flores had a question though around what could he do? So I wanted to hear the answer before I
I
start.
think the biggest thing right now is to advocate, to call District 60, to talk to their board members. And again, just advocate for the reasoning. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know what? I am in my first year, but I've been at the school as the principal of both Dolores Huerta and Ursilia Cruz for the past 7 or 8 years. So I have been in this community and I've seen the kids grow up. Tommy Lynn used to be in my office quite a bit, as a matter of, no, I'm just joking with her. But I am I think at this point right now, we really have tried everything. Get District 60 to come to the table, do a reconsideration, and talk about these aspects that Mr. Flores had just presented to us as far as why. What is the reasoning behind District 60 not wanting to authorize outside of, okay, our finances? And like I said, we did take a look at that, but we have new leadership that's taking place within the school. We have an accounting system that's actually making sense and working for us. Check our audits. Go back and take a look at our audits, and you can see that we have that our financial stability right now is very good. A lot of things that were mentioned at the state level, as far as, we won't get the enrollment that we're supposed to get, and we could suffer. Well, those are things that, again, we have a plan, and I left that within your folder. On the other side of that is a plan that we're looking at to make sure that whether it be enrollment, whether it be academics, whether it be our accounting and budget systems, we have a plan that we've set up. And I was not allowed to approach the state and give them this information that what we're doing within the schools. So again, what can we do? We can advocate, we can ask District 60 to come back to the table, and we can say that this is a mistake. CHPA needs to continue to exist so that there is choice within Pueblo, and our parents and our students are provided that choice of what and who educates them.
Mr. Segura, we're going to go to Councilor Maestri, please.
Yes, sir.
Because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I'm sorry to see that you guys are in the predicament that you're in. It is a beautiful school. I mean, you've got all three schools there, all three levels. And it is a beautiful school and it is an anchor for the West Side and the West Side community. I'm hoping that you guys can pull through this because unfortunately you guys have a black eye in the community. They say that the test scores are below average. Is that correct? Or has that been improvements in that department?
So
or-
again, and I'm sorry, let me go ahead and answer that question though. You know, 3 years ago, and I'm going to go back 3 years, is that we were in the improvement. We've always been in the improvement category, and we've always been above or consistent with what the District 60 on their school performance framework, how
Mhm.
they have performed. So we've always been consistent or above where their performance has been. But 2 years ago, you know, it was claimed that 3 years ago that we were in turnaround status and we haven't been able to get out of turnaround status. That's not true. Again, 3 years ago, we were in priority improvement for the elementary, the middle school. And 2 years ago, we actually went and we became a performance middle school under my leadership, and we were able to improve the academics of the things that I'm putting into the school right now. A focus on reading and writing and ensuring that students have good mathematical computational skills. So again, these are things that I've done it before, and we continue to do this, and we see this score through our NWA growth this year. Now, last year, yes, we had a rough year. We were in turnaround status for 2 out of the 3 schools there, the elementary and the middle school. But again, we're bringing our scores up. Our interim assessments are showing that we're bringing these schools up. We've got kids in reading that are scoring in the 70, 90, and 70th to 90th percentile in growth at both the elementary and the middle school. We're doing what we set out to do this year. And as I asked District 60 the last time I spoke with them, we just need time to continue this progress and be able to support what needs to move forward.
Mhm.
Councilman,
Thank you.
Councilwoman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Segura and Ms. Tommy Lee. I know that it takes a lot of courage to come to speak in front of people. And as you're hearing like, oh, follow the money, students are the money. I want to just say that you and students are worth so much more than what we're talking about, right? And so I know that it doesn't, I can't imagine what that feels like to be heard like, I'm just a money bag and what that means for me. And I'm really sorry that we're even having this conversation, but you are more than a money bag, right? You're way more than that. So I want to make that clear. Can you talk a little bit about what's going to happen July 1 if this decision is not overturned? Like, what are the tangible next steps?
Well, unfortunately, the next potential steps are that we are going to have to close our doors. Again, as far as being non-authorized, we do not have authorization to operate as a public school charter moving forward in Pueblo School District 60, which is, of course, where our brick and mortar buildings are at. Now, are there discussions? If District 60 decided that they would go ahead and release it for us to be contracted, we could pursue that. If we decided to go in a private route, we could also do something like that. But the private route, as you know, is very, very expensive. And again, the population, the underserved population that we serve, just could not afford a tuition-based type of schooling that they deserve actually, but that we give them because of state funding that comes to us. So again, I am very concerned about July 1st coming forward. Again, especially since I get no response from District 60 when requested to have a meeting. Let's talk about our differences. Let's see if we can do some resolution here. Give us another opportunity, and then maybe move forward with some plan or program that we can work with District 60 in order for us to either move to continue our education for our students or release us so that another organization can pick us up. But
Okay.
that is unfortunately what will happen, is that if we don't get authorized, then we are not able under state law to operate in the current area that we're at.
Yeah. And so I guess if that happens and if you do close your doors, that's just, I guess from a city perspective, because there was a comment about, essentially like this isn't city business. If that does happen and you do close down, one, it's going to be more blight for the west side. Two, the west, I mean, this is gonna be monumental for the west side, right? And we know that when research shows that when you take young people out of a trusted environment, they may not do well academically, socially, mentally. And so that does concern me as someone that represents partially, or near towards the west side. And when we're talking about, again, city business, our young people are our future employees. They are our future workforce. And I think that this is all about prevention and making sure that our young people get access to quality education. So I do think that it is somewhat of a city issue, particularly as we're thinking about all the assets, not just the buildings, Boys and Girls Club. It's a variety, the bonds, the money. It is kind of a city issue. So I'm happy to write a letter. I don't know how much that's going to mean coming from me, but I'm happy to write a letter and call on behalf of the people that I represent over there. I guess my last thing is, did I hear, Mr. Segura, that you, in the recent graduation, did 100% of your high schoolers graduate?
That is correct. 100% of our high schoolers graduated with both PCC credit, with CSU Pueblo credit. And I believe there was about 16, 17 degrees and certificates that were handed out from PCC of students that were not only got their associate's degree, but also got career and technical education certificates in like welding or other aspects of CTE. So we were quite proud of this graduating class. But again, no, I don't think a school can claim that 100% of their students. And again, I get it. Our classes are only, our graduating class was 44 this year, but everybody graduated with college credit. Everybody graduated with CSU Pueblo credit. And then we have students that are also graduating with their paraprofessional certificates. So if they choose to pursue a teaching career, we know the need of teachers within the community. And that's something that we took an active role in trying to provide that background for our students who are interested in teaching.
Mr. Segura, we're going to move on to President Naylor, then Councilman Forrest, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, thank you for that information. And the families, the students, the administration, the teachers have just got to be miserable right now with, I can't imagine the weight that's on their shoulders as we move forward. What's interesting is that I know nothing about it other than what you just told me, because I haven't been involved intimately in the process, and I didn't go to the school board meetings or anything else like that. So based on what you're saying and based upon what we're reading, it seems like it would be a slam dunk. Why would we not move forward with this school? Why wouldn't there be some collaboration and some compromise and a deal put together to keep the school open and to try and keep that into the community? I think they're short-sighted when they believe that they're going to assimilate 800 students into District 60 and that this cash is just going to go into District 60. But then I'm not even aware that that's the reason why they made the decision that they made. But quite literally, it's been my experience that if it's not the money, it's the money. And it seems to always be the money, no matter what decisions are made. And when we live in a time when everybody's scrambling to find money, everybody's scrambling to try and make their budgets a little bit better, it would be a shame if that was the sole reason that board decided to vote the way that they voted. And then there's this other precedence, this other precedence. Should city council be involved or interject itself into a school board matter? I would take offense if the school board came to a city council meeting and called us to the table about a decision that we made or whatever. But then you think if we deserve to get called on the carpet for a bad decision, then maybe that's a good idea, right? I think I think from a city the schools within the city limits of Pueblo, Colorado are of the utmost concern to a city council. And that cannot change. It doesn't matter who's in charge, who's whatever, but the city council ultimately has to say, if something doesn't seem right, maybe we should interject and say something. My suggestion would be as a city council that we take the next step. We've heard from Chavez Huerta. I think that it would be advantageous to a council before we made any rash judgments or rash decisions that we invite not only the school board, the president of the school board or the superintendent to a work session as quickly as possible to hear. Obviously, you need to hear both sides of an argument before you can jump in and make any big time decisions. Sounds like Councilor Flores is very intimately involved. I respect his opinion, and it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I don't agree with him on some things that certain groups are out to destroy the public education system, but that's a whole different argument. That's not why we're here tonight. So it would be my suggestion that if city council was very much for that, maybe try and make that happen sooner rather than later. And then if there's anything that we can do, should we decide that you're getting the raw end of the deal, then we should be very vocal about that, and we should step up and use anything we can to help try and rectify the matter. I think that's our job, and I think that's what we should do as a city council.
Thank you, sir. And I think as far as discussion goes, opening up a dialogue with District 60 and the ability to just again see if we can resolve the differences that we may have, I would very much appreciate that. So thank you.
Well, to Councilman Flores, I'm going to jump in here real quick. Councilman Flores for a second. To full disclosure, I contacted Mr. Segura. Mr. Segura didn't contact me. And the blurriness of this whole subject and the compassion this gentleman has here, we're not exactly on the same page politically, but on this kind of stuff, his heart's right. And I'm just letting you know that when I looked at this issue, and everybody has a right to present. As a work session chair, I get to choose. Any work session person, he gets to choose. And it's such an important, but it was too fuzzy. And I tried to catch up with some of the news articles and said, wait a second. Now we're finding out that we had 2 school board members that refused to meet with a councilman that's been dealing with this issue. That's not right. So I called Mr. Segura and said, please present. And it wasn't about funding. It wasn't about that. It's basically you got a new train going down a new track with a new conductor that can drive. Okay, the things that you guys are getting done now, you can't ignore it. And it's the only way you're going to get it out there is if we make them listen. And I'm willing to go as far as I can. Mr. Flores, any way I can help and join with you, I will gladly do it. Councilman Flores.
I'll try to be brief. If you use an analogy of your situation right now, it's like you're on your deathbed and this school board refuses to use the last, the paddles that they use to restart your heart. That's where we're at this point. That's how serious it is. The other thing that I wanted to say is that when they judge any charter, the children that you get come from every which way within the district, whether it's a 5th grader, whether it's a high school junior, or whether it's a middle school 7th grader. When they walk in your doors, you are carrying the baggage that was caused by District 60. So when you get judged for your scores, it's really melding the two together. If you have a kid that's ready to drop out and you save him, you know, he passes with a D, who really should we judge on that? Where he spent his first 10 years of his schooling, which was in the other school district. So you have to temper, you know, the analysis of all of that, because you accept any child that's in crisis, and their parents are making a choice, right? They're making a choice. And then lastly, when they get a check from the state, 5% of that goes to District 60 for the administration, whatever additional work they have to do. And since they don't like going to your school, but think about the culture in public education. They don't like charters. The unions don't like charters. The teachers don't like charters. A lot of people don't like charter schools. And so here's a classic example of all of these things coming together and piling up into this really bad decision as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, anything I can do, you know, I've got your back. Thank you, Mr. Forrest.
Councilor Maestri?
Just one last question. How many charter schools are within District 60?
There are 2 charter schools in District 60. There is a Pueblo School for the Arts and Sciences, and then Chavez Huerta Preparatory Academy.
Thank you.
For the record, can we have your name, full name, please, for the record?
Tommy Lynn Cruz.
Last name?
Cruz, C-R-U-C.
Ms. Cruz, I want to thank you for coming, because believe it or not, this is all going to be left to you guys eventually down the road. So I'm glad you're seeing it. I'm glad you're participating. We get more students there. It makes me a happy man. Mr. Latino.
I just want to thank the young lady for showing up as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, what you had to say was very pertinent, very important. I want to thank you, and thank you for doing what you're doing. Again, you know, we all have opinions, and you know, hopefully it works out, and the school board or whomever it is will come and talk to us, and you know, so that we can have an understanding of what's going on their side as well. I have a feeling that it has to do with enrollment in the city. The city's lost a lot of students. They're going to County High School and they're going to Pueblo West High School and doing those kinds of things. And the city's lost a lot of students. I'm not too sure that as I understand it, Centennial's down to like 700 students. And the only one that's really grown is Central High School, and the others have lost. So there's probably a lot of what's going on as it relates to that as well. Again, thank you, and young lady, thank you very much, and thank you both for what you're doing. God bless you both.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Akira. That'll end the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up, agenda item D, and it's going to be the possible ballot initiatives. I'm trying to do this without glasses. Good luck. And it's going to be handled by Mr. Ayers.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a couple things, and you know, we've been talking about this ever since the retreat on what we may do on ballot initiatives. If we have any charter changes or anything like that should come forward. The very first one that I'm going to bring to you, and I passed out a piece of paper, which is the charter section 8(9). It's prohibitions on the classified service. There's a line within that charter that says any employee of the, and I highlighted it, any employee of the classified service desiring to run for public office shall take a leave of absence during such campaign, and if elected, shall cease to be employed by the city. I'm interested in eliminating the prohibition on taking a leave of absence when you run. I think that city employees should be allowed to run for office without having to quit their jobs to do that. And obviously, if they get elected, they're going to leave their job. So I guess you can still say, and if elected, shall cease to be employed by the city of Pueblo. And you know, I tried to read all the pros and cons on this, and basically the reason that this was put in place was to keep, there seemed to be an understanding that maybe employees would have an unfair advantage over other candidates when they ran for office. You know, I don't know that I see that. Quite frankly, no city employee is going to run for city council because they can't take the pay cut. So there's no. So I think this pertains more to people who want to run for state or federal office, but I think it's just common sense. So I'm looking for support to ask Mr. Gifford to move forward with that. Is there any conversation or anything on that? Is there any-
Councilman,
Sorry, I just wanted to comment, most public officials that hold a current position, and like in this case, they're employed by the city. If they run for office, if they lose, they just get to go back to their original position. And the city should be able to go back to their, original position and not have to quit in order to run for it. So I'm 100% behind this. I think it's the right thing to do.
So I go, Mr. Gifford, is there anyone that's against moving this forward?
Not me.
Say, so Mr. Gifford, you can handle that?
Understood. I'll draft a charter amendment language for the council to review.
Okay, we're good. Councilman Boston.
Mr. Stoller, City Clerk Stoller.
Stoller.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Is it just for running for election to state office, or would it also be to allow city employees to run for city council?
That's up to, I think, any office.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Boston.
Are you done, Councilman Ayla? Because I have some other ballot initiatives I'd
No,
like to
I'm
talk
not.
about. Yeah, so I was gonna wait until he was done. But I do have some I'd like
Okay.
to discuss.
Okay. Councilman Hill.
The second one that I wanted to talk about was municipal court. I think in the charter, there's not a clear delineation between, I think there's a huge problem between the municipal court being under the executive branch. I don't think that that's normal under most governments, that the judicial is separated from the executive. And when it was originally set up, city council was over the municipal court, which took it out of the hands of anybody else. And I'm just wondering if anybody else is. The main reason why you don't want to do that is you put all the power in one branch. All the power, judicial plus executive. And I think that can lead to some, not that it does, I'm just saying that it could. And that as we move forward, if anybody's interested in changing that or looking at it further and maybe having a work session on the specific pros and cons of that, or forget it altogether.
Councilman Flores.
Yeah, for those that don't know, before we had the mayor form of government, we had the city manager form of government. Under that model, the municipal judge always reported back to the city council and the president. In fact, when I first got on city council, it was the president's responsibility to evaluate the municipal judge. So that model is basically the same the same reasoning back then is the same reasoning that we should have the municipal judge apart from, the current administration. I just think that there shouldn't be that kind of influence. So I agree. I like this change.
Well, I think the confusing part for me is it's not, I couldn't find where it's clearly defined in the charter where the judicial answers to. When it talked about the mayor's cabinet, the judicial is not part of the cabinet, obviously, because it's a separate entity, but there's nowhere in the charter where it, I think it was just assumed that with a strong mayor form of government, that's the way that it was going to be. But again, we can have a work session and figure that out.
It's fine.
Everybody got that?
Okay. Before, are you,
I guess I guess for that one, I'm gonna need way more information before I make any kind of decision. I guess from my perspective, that's why that's why there's a chief judge who, in my perspective, I think kind of oversees all of the courts. And I think Chief Judge Nelson does a fantastic job. And so I guess that's how it's functioning in my mind, not necessarily under the mayor.
Okay. But
So
I-
it is a third thing. Its own, executive, judicial under Chief Nelson, Judge Nelson, and then us, legislative. So all this to say that I'm gonna need way more information about this.
Well, the big delineation, it comes from that the mayor can hire or fire the municipal judge. So that gives the mayor's office complete autonomy over the judicial. Under what I'm proposing, that can't happen. Only city council can hire or fire a municipal judge. That way it separates the judicial from the executive. It's not total and absolute power over two branches of the government.
Councilman Flores?
I think we have the example at the national level. I mean, imagine if the president was able to fire Chief Justice Roberts. That just doesn't even click in your mind. And it's really the legislative bodies that actually are able to hire the Supreme Court justices. And of course, they have a position for life unless they do, unless they do something really bad.
That's all I have.
Okay, before we proceed,
Councilor Boston, how?
yeah,
Councilor Gomez, can I interrupt for just 1 second?
Yes.
Can we pick a day for this work session, just because we're gonna be running out of time if you decide to do this to get it through 2 readings on city council?
When's the deadline?
It'll be the first meeting in August, right?
So everything has to be settled by the first meeting in August?
Yeah, so Councilor Gomez, you have availability on July 14th. But then we'd have to have it first reading on July 14th and then July 28th, or we can bump somebody from July 7th if you would like to get this work session on.
Well, the 21st is just a work session. Why couldn't it be on there?
You just would have to have first reading July 14th and then second reading July 28th
So the first reading has to be
by July 14th, right? Stiller? It can be the 20th? Can be the 28th. My correction. So would you like it on July 21st for a work session?
yeah, we're fine. I'm fine.
Work session,
Yeah.
July, okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Are you done, Mark?
Yeah, I'm done.
Council Boston?
Thank you, Chair. I didn't bring any full handouts to hand to you guys, but I've been thinking about some ballot initiatives since it was something we talked about at the retreat. The first thing would be potentially something added to the city charter. If councilors are openly violating the oaths they take, I think there should be some sort of repercussions being put in place. I don't think it's okay for us to step out of the oath we take and not suffer repercussions. So I think something that similar to what Durango, Colorado is doing to their counselors that step out of line, there could be something drafted and a policy be put into the charter that actually makes us have repercussions for doing those kinds of things. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is another ballot initiative to try to bring gambling into Pueblo again. I think gambling would be a great thing. I think we could do, gambling at the Riverwalk or have some sort of casino here in Pueblo. I think it could be a huge revenue driver for the Riverwalk. It'd be another amenity added into the area. I just think it would be a good thing for this town. I know it came close last time it was brought forward, and I think it's something that we should bring forward again.
Okay. Councilman Flores?
I was wanting to ask our deputy attorney, are there any state laws that would prevent us from passing something like that?
I have no idea. It's the first time I've even thought about it in a long time, so I would have to look into it and let you guys know for sure.
I think we would have to present a plan to the state and get approved by the state if it were to happen. Whether it's something that we do on, like maybe even the river walk itself, maybe we have a nice new boathouse to store the boats in, you know, maybe we could put a couple slot machines on these boats, do something cool like that. You know, maybe we can get a nice big barge put in on the cooling pond up top. I just think it's something that we should definitely at least consider and look into further.
There is a place on the Riverwalk, but it's now a phone center. It was built several years ago, obviously.
You done?
Yeah, those are the two initiatives that I wanted to bring forward.
All right,
I had one more question.
Councilman Flores?
Yeah, getting back to taking our oath of office and then, you know, at some point, somebody being you called it a violation of our oath.
Breaking the oath.
What are the repercussions you're thinking about?
You know, I think that's, you know, it could be necessarily having to, you know, give up your seat, possibly giving up any power that you have if you're president, maybe you lose your presidency. I just think that there needs to be discussion and potential ramifications for violating the oath that you took.
And there's examples out there of some cities that are doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not in their charter, but just collectively what the council has decided to do against members of their council that have done these things.
Well, then I guess you'll have to come up with what those violations would be and what the repercussions are going to be. So you're probably going to have to schedule a work session for that so that everybody has some input.
Councilman?
Can we have work sessions for both of those?
Of course.
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Chair.
Give us.
They'll never get on the ballot.
So we just looked it up. The time frame is actually September 5th deadline, so we could do 2 meetings in August if you had ballot
Time slots
issues.
just opened up.
So, Chair Gomez, if you're okay, we'll get those 2. They could probably be together, scheduled for Councilor Boston.
Yeah, and I'll work with
Tracy.
Tracy Sample to.
I'll let her know.
Okay, good. All right. Councilman Wilson. Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback off the city manager form of government that was brought up by Councilor Forrest. I want to create a ballot initiative to revert back to city manager form of government to be cited by the electorate, mainly because across the nation, the city manager form of government has proven where they're going back to that, and the experiment with strong mayor has not been successful. So I'd like to bring that forward. Thank you. Discussion, comments? Councilman Boston.
Yeah, do you think there's anything that getting rid of a mayor would allow us to do more so than we're doing now?
I think the city of, my opinion, the city manager form of government is more representative of the people and the 7 districts that we, or excuse me, the 4 districts in the at-large seats that we represent. That's my opinion.
Do you think current administration is currently not working in their best interest to try to help us with any of the initiatives?
I don't think I said that.
No, I'm just asking.
I just prefer, at one point, long before this, I was in favor of a strong mayor as I led the push initially. But as I've seen it and watched it, I don't want to make this a personal thing. I want the citizens to decide. It goes back to the electorate. If they either want it or they don't want it, it's up to them. It's not up to me. It's not up to you. I think it should be up to the electorate. Thank you.
I just didn't know if there was a
Councilman
reason.
Maestri.
I would like to see, when we talk about council pay is if council decides to put in a pay raise, it only takes place upon the new incoming elected officials will get it, but maybe the 2 from behind don't get it until either they're reelected. And I would like to see a ballot initiative that allows that when council approves a pay raise, that everybody gets it straight across the board. Because I think it's fair. It's not fair to be on council for 2 years and then the new people are getting paid more than the old people when the new people have already, put in their time. It's almost like it's like a raise reversal or so I just think that I think it should just be equal across the board. And so I'd like to see that does have to go back to the people to decide. But I think it's the fairest way. I know that they tried to put a raise in. I wasn't for it because it wasn't equal across the board. And so I think that we should, if we decide to a raise, and I know everybody kind of whooped on that raise, but it was actually less than minimum wage if you put it at an hourly amount. So we get even paid less than way less than minimum wage, but that's okay. We knew that coming in, right?
Yep.
It's just that when it is time to have a raise, I think it should be equal across the board. So I'd like to see a question on the ballot that allows for that to happen, that changes that.
Councilman Flores.
I wanted to ask our attorney, this can be done by ordinance, can it?
So the topic that Councilor Maestri is speaking of is in the charter where it talks about when pay takes effect. However, council can change the pay whenever it likes through ordinance. The restriction would be that in order to get that pay raise, you would have to be reelected or leave office and then come back and be elected. So for example, Councilman Aliff wouldn't receive a pay increase until the next time he was reelected. If Councilman Boston were to be reelected in November, he would receive that pay raise January 1st.
Right.
If that
and-
makes sense.
Yeah, and you've been reading my mind because I've been talking to Mr. Gifford about doing that through ordinance. And let me tell you the justification, because I think you're right on the money. None of us 7 can benefit by that vote. So that would be the first hurdle. And I think we passed that, none of us can benefit from it. But secondly, this amount that we get was established in 1998. Inflation from 1998 to the present is 100%. So my recommendation to Mr. Gifford when I met with him was to practically just double what we're getting. And let me tell you another reason. I think a lot of younger people that have a full-time job, that it would be enough to take care of their babysitting maybe and all of the expenses that come with your car expense, taking people to coffee, whatever, all that kind of stuff that comes in it. And we're really not increasing anything. We're just keeping up with inflation. Cost of living is almost in our dictionary, the city dictionary, when it comes to union negotiations and all of that. So I guess just to clarify, Mr. Gifford, you're saying that we can do this as long as none of us benefit, and we can do it by ordinance.
Correct.
Okay, is that okay?
Except on the timing.
The time.
I think speaking to Councilor Maestri's point, if you were to vote for hypothetically, if this passed August 1st, Councilor Maestri is requesting that every member of council receive that benefit starting as soon as possible, not having to be reelected or after the next
And that
election.
can only be done by ballot.
Yeah.
That would take a charter amendment.
I like my way better. So it's just a conflict to me that we would benefit.
Well, we're not asking for, we're not doing that. Number one, we haven't asked for a raise. So we're not asking for a raise in it. We're just asking that if a raise were to take place and be approved, that at that time, it would then all counselors would benefit across the board.
I met with Mr. Gifford it's been about 2 weeks on this subject, and I still would like to bring it forward,
Well,
but I don't have, I don't have any objections to yours either. If you want to do so.
so as far as the pay increase, that is scheduled to be for ordinance for first reading this coming the next meeting in
Right.
June. So
Okay.
you will see it at the second meeting in June for first
July.
reading. As far as the charter amendment goes, if there's consensus,
July.
we can certainly, no, June. First reading in June. If there's consensus regarding the charter amendment, I can draft that language as well.
Next year.
Councilman Martinez.
Yeah, I guess all of this could just for time, I would like to have a work session about it so that we're not talking about it right now. But I also, in terms of reverting back to the city manager form of government, are we going to have a work session about that? Because I'm not personally interested in moving forward with that. So are we gonna have a consensus to move forward with that? That's how we've been doing the rest of these.
It's any different than any other ballot initiative that we're deciding on. How's that any different?
Because the rest of
I'm
them,
okay with the work session.
That's fine. I don't have a problem.
everyone else wants a work session about going back to the form of city manager.
Councilman Maestri.
Why don't we suggest, because we have so many work sessions coming up,
Yeah.
why don't we suggest a special meeting? A special work session where we just address all of these?
We won't get through them all in one night. There's no way. But
Well, if it's just that. And we have 2 hours and we have nothing else going on.
You do it on the 5th Monday this month.
Okay. I mean, that's just a suggestion. I mean, because guess what? We could battle it out till the cows come home. We do on everything else. So if we go to midnight, we go to midnight, you know?
We can anticipate the 5th Monday then if you want.
I just think the electorate literally just decided this 5 or 6 years ago that they wanted a mayoral form of government, so I'm not in favor of talking anymore about that.
I think
You
we know
want
what
a
you
work
said.
session?
I don't want a work session.
Okay. Councilman Latino.
I think we need to have a work session. And I agree with Councilman Flores.
Councilman Boston.
going back to the pay thing, because that's the topic we were on. I didn't get involved with for the pay. I'm young. I'm in a different position, getting ready to, fully take over business. And, but I do think that a lot of people, when they ask me and I tell them what I get for it, that are my age, they laugh. So I think it's tough for us to talk about raises for ourselves when we're in such a hole, it seems like every year. I do think it might help inspire more people to be involved and get involved. I just don't know if the time's appropriate. I know that's not what you're bringing forward. You're bringing forward that if it were to pass, that everybody receives it when it passes. But I think the way it's written currently kind of helps prevent you from just trying to pad your pockets in a sense. It only applies if you're reelected. It only applies to those, that aren't in there now. So I think that would probably give people a little more comfort in the sense of trying to vote to pass it or, or being okay with it being passed rather than if it seems like we're all just trying to give ourselves a raise in a sense. So I don't know. I don't think I necessarily personally agree with changing how it's written now, but that's just my opinion on it.
This is one of the work sessions we're gonna have then? Is that, we're going in that direction or no? Is that what you're
That's-
requesting?
No,
That's
well,
right.
okay, so what I asked for was a ballot initiative that if a raise were to take place, it takes place equal across the board.
Right.
He has something that's already coming up as an ordinance on the schedule, so that's different.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I don't like the pad your pocket reference when we're looking at less than minimum wage. I mean,
I
that's,
agree.
The real little pot.
It's about $600 a month. I agree. It's not much.
Nobody's in here for even on a raise, it's not patting your pocket,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Flores?
But just another, Mr. Gifford also did a study of other cities our size. And I think he has that information. I'll make sure that you guys get it. Even with this, keeping up with inflation, we're still below a lot of cities. But they're all kind of where I want us to be, kind of in the middle. So.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm opposed to an increase. I do think it is lower than it should be. I just say with the way it's written, that might give the perception.
Okay.
Counselor Gomez, can I get some clarification on the ballot measure work sessions? Are the city council members who brought up the issues going to be the presenters for each of your respective?
That's a
Work
great
sessions.
question. That's a good question.
I will be.
You will be?
I
Okay,
will be.
okay, Counselor Maestri?
Yes, I mean, really, the attorney is gonna write them, correct?
The attorney will write them, but
The
I mean,
legal-
some of these, like Counselor Boston's,
Mhm.
we need some ideas on what you would like to see moving forward between the gambling and the oath for city council. So those are things that you're gonna
Mhm.
have to come up with that you would like to see move forward on those specifics. Counselor Maestri, yours is very straightforward.
Mhm.
Counselor Gomez, you'll be presenting on mayoral form of government,
That's
and
me.
then President Aliff will be, that's pretty straightforward on your two. It's very black and white.
Judicial.
Yeah. And then,
You know, we're gonna have first presentation, next, let's see, in 2 weeks from today. That doesn't, that'll be over with, won't it? Well, final presentation would be 4 weeks from today, right? But it's not a charter amendment, so we'll let that discussion take its own course.
okay, so we're looking at the 5th Monday for all ballot measures. City staff knows what we need to have ready and council knows what you need to have.
Poor Tracy. I'm sorry. Okay, I think that's gonna wrap it up. We're at 7 o'clock. I'd like to, and we'll be back here at 7:10. Okay, thank you.